Sabrina Carpenter is coming to Austin, Texas, so I'm going to let her choose what I read and then go watch her perform live. I have no idea what her taste in books is, so I might love it, I might hate it, but regardless, I'm gonna let you know if her book recs are worth the hype.
Just Kids by Patti Smith will always be like one of my favorites, and I go back and reread it a lot. There's something very nostalgic about it. I've been like living in New York the last couple years, and so the book just really resonates with me in that way, and also just gives me a lot of perspective on life and growing up in these years. So yeah, I'd probably say that one.
I've actually heard of that memoir before. I mean, I've never read it because I don't tend to gravitate towards that genre. As you know from my past reads, I prefer romance, fantasy, and sci-fi books, but I'm excited to see what it's about, and I'll give my honest thoughts and criticism. So now I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble and binge read it before the concert. It's later in the day and I finished Just Kids. It's a beautiful memoir about the life of Patti Smith from youth to adulthood, as well as a never before seen glimpse into a relationship with Robert Mapplethorpe in the late 60s and 70s. If you've ever wanted to read more about the real starving artist lifestyle, this book is for you. Patti Smith spends this book talking about her journey, and starving artist is not just a euphemism for chasing her dreams. She genuinely is just trying to scrape by, trying to figure out how to feed herself, how to survive. No one expected me, everything awaited me. Before I picked up this book, I saw Sabrina Carpenter describe this read as powerful, and I think that quote very much captures that. It speaks to the power of believing yourself and encourages those feeling overwhelmed by the expectations of others that they can't dictate your future, you do. We have the freedom to pursue any endeavor, so I can see why Patti Smith's journey was so inspiring to Sabrina Carpenter and why she's reread this book so many times. Where does it all lead? What will become of us? These were our young questions, and young answers were revealed. It leads to each other. We become ourselves. This is impactful because it's something everyone asks themselves. In a world that moves really quickly, it's so easy to dwell on where we're going next rather than where we are right now in the present. I feel like being present is when we truly become ourselves. There's a saying about growing up where adulthood is very much finding your inner child again and not caring what the outside world thinks of you. And I feel like that's becoming yourself, your authentic self. And that's a huge theme in this book. Everything distracted me, but most of all, myself. I feel, as a writer myself, it is so easy to let our thoughts and ideas get in the way of our progress. No matter the distractions, a lot of times the biggest roadblock to success is ourselves. Patti Smith highlights in her story the importance of refocusing on your ambitions and dreams when you find yourself distracted. And truthfully, picking up this recommendation from Sabrina Carpenter, I didn't know that I would walk away with this many lessons. But wow, overall, I thought this story was really beautiful. It felt like Patti's love letter to Robert, and I enjoyed it. Going into this, I admittedly had very little knowledge of Patti Smith. For me, initially, it felt like I was reading a story about people that I should know, but don't. If you're a fan of Patti or Robert, or even just a musician in general, I would recommend reading. Personally, I didn't walk away from this book feeling super warm and fuzzy in the same sense that I feel, you know, after reading a romance novel or a fantasy novel, which I think comes with a genre, and me very much just not being as into memoirs as some other people are. The stories from her life threaded together in this book paint a really vivid picture, and I can see why this is a must-read for Sabrina Carpenter. Unfortunately, Sabrina's 5-star rating for this read was not the same for me. I'm rating this a 3-star read, but I think if I enjoyed memoirs more and had more knowledge about Patti Smith, or was like a fan of her going into this, it very well could have been a 5-star read for me. Now, will her concert be a 5-star experience? And thanks to the Moody Center in Austin inviting me, I'll find out. I got the pleasure of sitting up in the Dell Technologies Club, and the seats were phenomenal. Going into tonight, one of the numbers I was most excited for was Juno, and I guessed the position was going to be reverse cowgirl because we're in Texas, but I was wrong. Regardless, the performance live was phenomenal. Sabrina Carpenter knows how to put on a show, and if you're a fan, you should definitely try to get tickets to see her live. Certainly the best concert I have ever seen, easily making it a 5-star show for me. A 3-star book recommendation and a 5-star concert experience? Sabrina, I need you to give me more book recs and do more shows, because consider me entertained. Now, if any of you have artist book recommendations, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll read Taylor Swift or Gracie Abrams' favorite book next. And if you need more worthwhile book recs, check out my video where I read Haley Pham's 5-star books and rated them myself.